You announced this new review today. Obviously, it's going to be run by a former Supreme Court Justice, Louise Arbour, but this is a bit of Groundhog Day. Why is a new review needed? There's already been, as you know, an independent review. Another former Supreme Court Justice, Marie Deschamps, made recommendations in 2015. She had hundreds of witnesses. She made 10 recommendations, but few of them had been followed, including that independent process needed. So why do you need a brand new process? Why not just act on the 2015 report?
Well, first of all, I want to thank Madame Deschamps for the tremendous work that she did that really got the ball rolling. Now, the work that has been done, some progress has been made, but clearly it has not been enough, and we haven't got it right when it comes to the trust and faith for our survivors that are coming forward. And what this is about is making sure that we set up a proper a reporting body appropriately. You know that there's a lot of changes that need to be made, and having somebody to actually take a look at what those changes actually need to be so that we get that process right. And what we want to do is making sure that it's long lasting and gives confidence to our people who can come forward. And it'll be independent from the chain of command and also independent from the Department of National Defense. Well, but it's also going to look deeper as well.
Okay, but again, it does look like a delay on the surface. You know, and I've spoken to a number of experts today who have studied this. Marie Deschamps' report had recommendations that weren't followed. She's identified the problem. She spoke to hundreds of people in the military. The military and the Department of National Defense simply has to act on her recommendations. Why not act on this, or is this a way of delaying and maybe evading responsibility for the current situation?
Oh, absolutely not. I want to stress that. Absolutely not. This is about getting it right for the survivors. Having the process in place, for example, I can give direction and put something out and say that it's absolutely independent. What we need to do is making sure that the system that we have eventually in place, that's going to be extremely broad. And this is where we need to take a look at when somebody comes forward. We have to take a look at not only the support mechanism, we got to look at the legal side as well. We also need to look at the investigative side. This may require some significant changes for us to get that process in place. That's why this external review is needed. But at the same time, we're moving quickly on what some of the survivors are been asking for, whether it's peer-to-peer support. Lieutenant General Jenny Carrion is also going to be moving very quickly to take a lot of the mechanisms that we have in the Canadian Armed Forces to be able to bring it together so that we can provide immediate support to our survivors.
Right, but you know, the old saying, fool me once, my fault, fool me twice. You know, why should anybody in the military trust that the government's going to do this when, again, the recommendations from Marie Deschamps' report of 2015 have not been acted on? Why would anyone look at this and go, boy, here they are, another Supreme Court justice, another 12 months to do this. They're doing it all again. It looks like the same old merry-go-round, and why should I trust anything is going to actually change?
You know, I can actually completely understand the concern that people have. I, too, if I was serving, would also be looking at this. But one thing I can also assure you that our government, since we came into power, have been actively and aggressively trying to tackle this issue. If you go back to when we launched our defense policy, we also would put people to number one. We did a lot of work there. A lot of the recommendations that Madame Deschamps has came out with, we were acting upon it. But even some of the ones that we thought that were doing right, clearly did not work properly. But we have survivors didn't have confidence. But this is what it's about. This is about making sure we get this right. This announcement is not going to rebuild that confidence. What I'm here to tell you, and here to tell all the survivors and Canadian Armed Forces members, this is about taking that strong action with the bold steps to take that recommendation to get this right.
But to be fair, sir, I'm just going to look at the facts because this is about credibility. The Operation Honor has been tracking and reporting an analysis system. They logged 581 sexual assault reports in 5 years. A lot of that, well, under your watch. Suddenly there's a total new review, and a lot of folks are saying, look at those numbers. You know, from 2016, after the Deschamps report, 581 sexual assault reports in a 5-year period. Nothing was done. What kind of credibility does the government have to say, no, we're really going to change it this time?
No, Evan, that's one of the things is when we launched into this, it's about trying to build confidence and taking action as well. Like I said, even though we haven't gotten it right, for example, we had a lot of unfounded reports that we were, again, reviewing once again, reopened them to take a look at, and some of them were reopened and then reinvestigated, and action was taken. This is about getting this right for our people. I can assure you, this is not about passing the buck. This is about taking serious action for the survivors to come forward. And the bold recommendations that what we're going to be looking for, and the work that Madame Arbour is going to be doing, will determine exactly what that external body will be.
How long will that take?
Well, one of the things we've done is we're not going to wait for a report. As part of the terms of reference, we have put in place, as soon as there's an interim recommendations, we're going to be taking action immediately. This is one of the reasons why we also have Lieutenant General Carry-On in the current position of Chief of Professional Conduct and Culture, and the Secretariat, to be able to support that work immediately. And in the interim, for the people, survivors who are coming forward, she'll be taking a lot of the mechanisms that we have within the Canadian Armed Forces that are kind of in different services, different parts, are bringing that together even better, based on what we have heard in the last few months from the survivors.
Minister, you said that passing the buck, and the opposition has accused you of passing the buck on the allegations against General Vance, which, by the way, as you know, he denies. But the Prime Minister said in the House of Commons that no one in his office knew that the March 1st, 2018 complaint that the former military ombudsman Gary Wellborn brought to you was a, quote, Me Too complaint. But again, the military ombudsman, Gary Wellborn, told the committee that, and I'm going to quote him, he said, I met with Minister Sajjan. I told him about a sexual behavior complaint about the Chief of the Defence Staff. He said twice in committee. Is the Prime Minister telling the truth that no one in his office knew it was a sexual behavior complaint, which Gary Wellborn says he was, or is Mr. Wellborn lying? Because both cannot be true. Which is it?
Well, I'm going to be very clear on this one. When it comes to any type of sexual misconduct, how seriously we take it. When I met with the former ombudsman, immediately we took action. And the action that we took is to sending it to the Privy Council office. And in this case here, no politician, as I stated many times before, should ever be involved in any type of investigation. But clearly the process that we have followed, that also the previous government has followed as well, it did not work for survivors.
Sorry. To be fair, you and I have talked about
change.
Look, a lot of people think actually the buck stops with the minister or the prime minister. Someone's got to hold the CDS accountable, the chief of the defense staff. But just, I want to go back. The prime minister, I just want to fact check this. The prime minister said, and I'm quoting him, no one in my office knew it was a Me Too complaint. Gary Wellborn told you explicitly it was a complaint about sexual assault behavior. So let's I just want to make sure we establish the facts. Is Mr. Wellborn telling the truth when he told you that the complaint was about it was sexual in nature, a Me Too style complaint? Is that true? Is he telling the truth?
As I stated in my testimony very, very clearly, when he brought the concerns to me, we immediately took it to Privy Council office, and they followed up the next day. Okay. And then from them, at that time, you know what took place, that he wasn't able to come forward with further action.
I understand that. No, that I understand. But he said, I told him about a sexual behavior complaint. If he's telling the truth, it would follow then that the Prime Minister is not telling the truth when he said no one in his office knew it was a Me Too complaint, because you clearly did. Is that fair?
No, what we, in this case here, first of all, when it comes to the process that's currently in place, that was used by also the previous government as well, the process that we have clearly did not work. In this case, we followed the appropriate steps in this case so that a just outcome could not be jeopardized and to move forward. And that's what we're trying to focus on now, is the changes that we need to make is put the right process in place. So to answer your earlier question, the reason we're doing this in this manner, to have Madame Arbour take a look at this, is to making sure that we get this right. Somebody with the appropriate experience to figure out exactly what it is, because that process itself that we're talking about may require some significant changes, and those are the bold steps that we're willing to take.
I'm just going to hit one more time because I know you got to go. Did you tell, when you were told it was a sexual behavior complaint by Gary Wellborn, did you communicate the nature of that complaint? Did you communicate to PCO, yes, there has been a complaint about General Vance that is a sexual behavior complaint?
As I stated, we took immediate action, with my chief of staff at that time, to get Privy Council office involved very quickly. They followed up the next day, and at that concurrently, PMO was informed. And what we wanted to do is making sure, regardless of whatever the complaint was, there could have been even further. We wanted to make sure that it was thoroughly investigated. And that was the aim here, to making sure that's independently done, not done by politicians, to making sure that if it ever came to court, that it can go to a just outcome and no one can ever say that it was interfered with.
All right, Minister Sajjan, you've given us a lot of time and I appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.